woman suddenly realized that she might have been assaulted, but the police officer accused her of making the whole story up.
I'm here to tell you there was no DNA match between the individual you accused.
It had to match.
Well, it didn't. Maybe if you gave me a list of all the other guys it could have been?
The moment those words were spoken, Kimberly was instantly pushed into the center of a public storm. The reputation she had spent years protecting completely fell apart in that very moment. People around her began looking at her with suspicion. Not a single person was willing to believe the desperate explanations she kept trying to give. In order to force the police to reopen the investigation, Kimberly had no choice but to threaten them with exposing the case to the media. She demanded that the detective personally return to the hospital and collect new evidence. Although the detective firmly believed the doctor would never commit such a crime, he found himself under growing public pressure. To give everyone an answer, he had no choice but to return to the hospital and investigate the case once again. After the detective explained why he had come, the doctor felt the entire situation was utterly ridiculous, yet he showed no signs of panic or resistance whatsoever. Instead, he calmly stood before everyone and fully cooperated. He even allowed another blood sample to be collected without objection. His calm and composed demeanor only convinced even more people that he was innocent. Meanwhile, Kimberly, who had been suffering terribly during this time, kept seeing flashes in her mind of the fragmented memories of the assault she had endured. Those scattered memories gradually became clearer and clearer. She became more convinced than ever that the doctor was the one who had destroyed her life. But what she never expected was that the latest test results were exactly the same as the first ones. Once again, all the evidence indicated that the doctor was not a suspect. Kimberly simply could not accept such a result. She was convinced that there had to be a hidden truth behind it all. But the detective had personally supervised the entire evidence collection process. There was simply no possibility that the evidence had been tampered with. He completely lost his trust in Kimberly. He believed she had mistaken hallucinations caused by anesthesia for reality. In the end, he officially closed the case. Kimberly was once again plunged into complete despair. From that day on, the story that Kimberly had falsely accused the doctor quickly spread throughout the entire town. People who had once sympathized with her began avoiding her. More and more people started treating her as a laughingstock. Kimberly not only lost her job because of it, but also had to endure the judgmental stares of those around her every single day. The constant psychological pressure continued to torment her. Her condition grew worse with each passing day. She even began showing signs of severe mental illness. Meanwhile, the doctor's fake and sinister face became a nightmare that she could never erase from her mind. Seeing Kimberly becoming more and more depressed, her family feared that staying there any longer would completely break her. So they took her to the city for psychiatric treatment. To help her escape the endless rumors and gossip, the family even sold their old house and moved to a quiet remote suburb to start over. As time slowly passed, Kimberly gradually adapted to her new surroundings. Those painful memories from the past finally seemed to have been buried, at least for the time being. After all, she always believed that at least her family was still willing to stand by her side. That belief lasted until one casual conversation with her family. Her brother casually brought up what she had gone through during her treatment. He believed the doctor was an honest and upright man. He was certain the whole incident had been nothing more than Kimberly's hallucination. After all, laboratory test results don't lie. After hearing her brother say that, Kimberly's eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe that even the person closest to her refused to believe the ordeal she had described herself. At that moment, she felt both heartbroken and utterly lost. Yet all she could do was silently endure everything. Then on one quiet afternoon, Kimberly accidentally overheard a conversation between her daughter and a friend while they were playing in the grass.
We're here. Rickerby. Where? Rickerby. It's a ways from here. Why did you move? Because my mom told a story that no one believed. Like a lie? Yeah.
Listening to the children's innocent yet piercing words, Kimberly's heart was deeply wounded once again. She finally realized that if she continued to remain silent, this lie would not only ruin her own life, but also affect her daughter's future. She refused to let her daughter carry the label of a liar's daughter for the rest of her life. Even if no one believed the truth she was telling, she still had to fight for the justice she deserved. And so, Kimberly once again set out on the path to seek justice with renewed determination. But to persuade the police to reopen the investigation, she had to present evidence strong enough to overturn the existing conclusions. Otherwise, all of her efforts would be meaningless. So, Kimberly spared no expense to hire a private investigator, hoping he could uncover direct evidence of the doctor's crimes. However, the doctor's counter-surveillance skills were far more cautious than anyone had imagined. He had left behind almost no suspicious traces. The investigator spent a long time looking into the case, trying every possible method before finally managing to obtain a saliva sample from the doctor. Unfortunately, the sample was accidentally contaminated with glue, making it impossible to extract any usable DNA. That only promising lead was completely lost. The investigation reached another dead end. Since the outside investigation had failed to make any progress, perhaps the only option left was to start with someone close to the doctor. With that thought, Kimberly came up with a new plan. She reached out to a nurse from the hospital. As someone who had worked closely with the doctor for a long time, the nurse might know secrets that no outsider was aware of. After they met, Kimberly told her everything she had been through. From her initial suspicion that she had been assaulted, to being misunderstood and doubted by everyone, and finally to losing her job and seeing her reputation destroyed. She poured out every bit of pain she had been suppressing for so long. Before she could even finish speaking, some local townspeople recognized Kimberly. Not only did they show her no sympathy, they kept looking at her with disgust and contempt. Some even mocked her in public, calling her nothing more than a crazy woman who was full of lies.
See that sign over there?
Yeah?
Your friend tried to steal the shirt off our doctor's back, and I'm not serving you.
After witnessing the injustice Kimberly had suffered with her own eyes, the nurse finally began to question everything. She wanted to do whatever she could to help the poor woman. So one night while the doctor was away from the hospital, the nurse risked losing her job and secretly handed Kimberly a list of patients. And that seemingly ordinary list, will Kimberly finally be able to clear her name? Find out in the next episode.